In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. And I'm going to be reading out from this book. And let's start with this unit named Dreams. এই লাইভে এই অংশটা শেষ করতে চাইব ইনশাআল্লাহ. Let's get going. But before that, I would like to flip the camera once again. Yes. Unit 10, Dreams, Learning Outcomes. After we have started the unit, we will be able to listen for specific information, participate in conversations and discussions, understand and narrate problems, take and give interviews, complete a grid. Lesson 1. I have a dream. Read the texts and say what is common among them. Hi, I am Moitri Matshadi. My father is a freedom fighter and my mother is a teacher. They both dream for a golden Bangladesh and inspire me to do something significant, something positive for the country. Often I think what to do to fulfill their expectations in future. Finally, I've decided to be a politician and work for my motherland. How's it? How is it? How's it? I am Amitabh Kaur. When I say to my friends that I'd like to be a space traveler, they laugh. But I really want to be that. If people from other countries can conquer the moon and roam in the space, why not we? To be honest, I visualize that one day I'm stepping on Mars from a space shuttle. Please rest so that my dream comes true. Please wish me the best so that my dream comes true. Hello, I'm Mufakkar Hassan. I live in a slum with my parents and sisters. I know how cruel poverty can be. My heart bleeds to see the poor, suffering people in my slum. After I have finished my education, I will be a social worker and fight against social injustice and poverty. Change is the what I believe in to make Bangladesh a golden Bengal. My name is Ruth Antara Chaudhary. I believe that a society can't be enlightened without proper education. Education lights the candle in people's heart, so I will be a teacher. Some people appreciate my decision, but some people say teachers are not revered. Teachers are not honored, are not respected properly nowadays. I tell them I don't care who tell what. I want to be a teacher because I'm brilliant. Teachers need to be creative and innovative. Animesh, so you mean learning from each other? There is no magic behind my success. I just worked hard. Okay. Read the হচ্ছে কি ভাই আজকে? Read the interview between Shati, a successful student in JC, and a newspaper reporter, Animesh Rai. The interview is just jumbled up. Read the text and then organize the conversation properly. Oh yes. Oh, Animesh. Well, Shati, we are really proud of you for your brilliant performance in the SS in the JC exams. Please tell us how you could achieve this success. There is no magic behind my success. I just worked hard. I followed our teachers' advice. The more you read, the more you learn. I'm grateful to my teachers and parents for guiding me properly. That's great. Oh, and I'm grateful to my school and my friends too. I understand. Okay, by the way, so you mean learning from each other? Mm. In my school, we had a nice study group. Whenever we had any problem, we discussed it in our group first. We tried to help each other, and it always worked. Never forget, two heads are better than one. Oh, I understand why you are grateful to your school, but would you explain how you're grateful to your friends, please? এটাই তো একটু যেটা বললাম. By the way, Shati, what your dreams for the future? To keep the success in next exams and make my dreams come true, I want to be a scientist. Since my childhood, I have known that many people in Bangladesh are under arsenic threat. They are taking arsenic directly from their drinking water and directly from the crops and vegetables they eat. It's a kind of slow poisoning. People are helpless. They are suffering from many kinds of diseases. Therefore, I have a dream to carry out a research on how to get rid of this problem using our own resources and expertise. Wish you luck. That's great. Thanks. They had dreams part 1. Shanta was chatting with one of her foreign friends, Jenny. Read the dialogue and tell what the subject of their conversation is. Shanta, what's your dream for the future? To be a good human being first and then work for my country, no matter whether I become a social worker, an artist, or a professional. Wow, I really appreciate your thought. By the way, Shanta, does anyone inspire you in your dreams? Certainly, I'm always influenced by the great personalities in our country and abroad. Whenever I read the biography of great people, I try to understand how their dreams helped them to be what they have been. Would you please tell me about some of your favorite dreamers? Sure. Read the following texts to know about some dreamers in my country. They are my icons as well. Read the text and complete the task. CMD. Preetilata Wadedar was born in Chattogram in 5th May 1911. She was a meritorious student at Dr. Kastir Government Girls School in Chattogram and Eden College, Dhaka. Eden College, Dhaka. She graduated in philosophy with distinction from Bethel College in Kolkata in her Kolkata. In her college days, Preetilata was an artist in the anti-British movement. All through her life, she dreamed of two things: a society without gender discrimination and her motherland free from British colonial rule. So she decided to fight against the British rule. Soon after, Preetilata became the head teacher of London Kanana Purnacharana School in Chattogram. Gradually, she involved herself in Surya Sen's armed resistance movement. Surya Sen was a famous anti-British movement organizer and revolutionary activist in Chattogram area at that time. In 1932, Surya Sen planned an attack on the Bhartali European Club. The club was well known for its notorious sign at its entrance: dogs and Indians not allowed. Surya, Surya Sen Surya Sen assigned Preetilata to lead a team of 10 to 12 men to attack the club. The raid was successful, but Preetilata, dressed as a man, failed to get out of the club. She committed suicide by taking potassium cyanide to avoid arrest. She proved that women can work like men. She also proved that women too needed to be prepared to sacrifice their lives for freedom from the British colonial rule. Her dream finally came true. The British rule came to an end in 1947, though she couldn't see it during her lifetime. They had dreams part 2, and so it's now about Johir Rehan. Look at the picture. He is a great son of our country. Who is he? What do you know about him? Read the text. Look at the picture. He's a great son in our country. Okay, he is a great son of our country. No worries at all. Who is he? What do you know about him? Okay, let's know about him. Johir Raihan was one of the most talented filmmakers in Bangladesh. He was born on 19th August 1935 in the village Mojupur in Feni district. He was an active worker of the language movement. He was one of the 10 students to go out in a procession on 21st February 1952 despite a ban on such activities imposed by the authorities. As a result, he and many others were arrested and taken to prison. Raihan was also present at the historical meeting of Amtala on 21st February 1952. He also took part in the mass movement in 1969. In 1971, he joined the Liberation War. This is who Johir Raihan is. All through his life, Johir Raihan dreamt of a democratic society, a society that would ensure freedom of speech. He had many dreams about our film industry too. He made a legendary film জীবন থেকে নেওয়া জীবন থেকে নেয়া based on the language movement of 1952. হ্যাঁ, এটা বাংলায়ও লিখে জীবন থেকে নেয়া, যদিও মানে ব্র্যাকেটে দিয়ে দেয় যে নেয়ার সঠিক ফর্মটা আছে নেওয়া, দেয়া এর সঠিক ফর্মটা হচ্ছে দেওয়া. It was a protest against the autocratic government then ruling our country. The family portrayed in that film symbolically represented East Pakistan, means Bangladesh. The family was ruled by an autocrat who had to go to prison for her conspiracy. During the Liberation War in 1971, this film was shown outside Bangladesh. Celebrated filmmakers like Satyajit appreciated the film. Raihan gave all the money the film made to the Freedom Fighters Trust. Besides his great documentary on Pakistani atrocities, Stop Genocide helped create world sentiment in favor of our liberation. On 30th December 1971, someone informed Raihan about an address somewhere at Mirpur where he might find his brother, the famous writer Shahidullah Kaisar, who had gone missing from 14th December 1971. Kaisar was captured and killed by the Pakistani army and the local collaborators during the last days of the war. Accordingly, Raihan left home to get his brother back, but he never returned. Johir Raihan's dream was fulfilled, but it's a pity that this dreamer couldn't live to see his dream come true. Reading from English literature. After we have studied this unit or the unit, we will be able to recognize and use English sounds, stress and intonations, understand and enjoy stories and other texts, interpret, evaluate and summarize literary texts. এটা আমি পড়েছিলাম আগে. For the last time and final time, I'm going to read it. Lesson 1, books. Ask and answer these questions in pairs. Do you read any books other than your school books or your school textbooks? If yes, what kinds of books do you read? Stories, poems, etc. Now write one or two reasons why you read those books and share with your partner. Read the poem books. Eleanor Fortune. What worlds of wonder are our books, as one opens them and looks. New ideas and people rise in our fancies and our eyes. The room we sit in melts away, and we find ourselves at play with someone who, before the end, may become our chosen friend. Or we sail along the page to some other land or age. Here is our body in the chair, but our mind is over there. Each book is a magic box, which with a touch a child unlocks. In between their outside covers, books hold all things for their lovers. What does the poet say about the good things that reading a book can do to you? What other benefits do you think reading books can give you? Lesson 2, Two Mothers Remembered. Read the poem and answer the following questions. Two Mothers Remembered by Joan Snow Duncanson. I had two mothers. Two mothers I claim. Two different people, yet with the same name. Two separate women, diverse by design. But I loved them both because they were mine. The first was the mother who carried me here, gave birth and nurtured and launched my career. She was the one whose features I bear, complete with the facial expressions I wear. She gave me her love, which follows me yet, along with examples in life, she said. As I got older, she somehow younger grew, and we would love as just mothers and daughters do. But then came the time that her mind clouded so, and I sensed that the mother I knew would soon go. So quickly she changed and turned into the other, a stranger who dressed in the clothes of my mother. Oh, she looked the same, at least at arm's length, but now she was the child and I was her strength. We had come full circle, we women three. My mother the first, the second, and me. We became the three. And if my own children should come to a day when a new mother comes and the old goes away, I would ask of them nothing that I did not do. Nothing that I did not do. Love both of your parents, both have loved you, as both have loved you. Ask and answer the questions in pairs. How are the two mothers different from each other? How are they the same? What did the first mother do to the speaker? Who was the speaker's second mother? Describe her briefly. What would be the speaker's advice to her own children? Who are the three women referred to in the poem? Briefly describe them. What should children do to their mother and why? Do you like this poem? Why? The Sands of D. Listen to the poem, read it aloud in groups. The Sands of D. Charles Kingsley. Oh Mary, go and call the cattle home and call the cattle home and call the cattle home across the sands of D. Oh Mary, go and call the cattle home and call the cattle home and call the cattle home across the sands of D. The western wind was wild and dank with foam, and all went alone. The western tide crept up along the sand, and over the sand, and round the sand, as far as I could see. The rolling mates came down and hit the land, and never home came she. Oh, is it wheat? Is it fish? Is it floating here? A tress of golden hair, a drowned maiden's hair. Above the nets at sea was never salmon yet that shone so fair among the stakes of day. They rowed her in across the rolling foam, the cruel crawling foam, the cruel hungry foam, to her grave beside the sea. But still the boatmen hear her call the cattle home across the sands of Dee. What was the weather like when Mary went to bring her cattle home? Look at some words, phrases, and sentences that have repeated several times. Explain why the poet has done that. How has the poet described the sea? Narrate the story of Mary in your own words. Suppose you were walking on the shore with a couple of your friends while Mary was drowning. Describe what you would have done. Time, you old gypsy man. Read and answer the following questions. Have you ever seen a gypsy? If yes, where? Do gypsies live in our country? In what ways are they different from the general people, the normal people? Now read the poem and answer the questions that follow. Time, you old gypsy man, Ralph Hudson. Time, you old gypsy man, will you not stay? Put up your caravan just for a day. All things I'll give you. Will you be my guest? Bells for it, Janet, of silver the best. Goldsmith shall beat you. A great golden name. Okay, I'm going to start from the very beginning once again. Tiny old gypsy man, rough Hodgson, 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 Hodgson. Time, you old gypsy man, will you not stay? Put up your caravan just for a day. All things I'll give you. Will you be my guest? Bells for your Janet, of silver the best. Goldsmiths shall beat you. Great, a great golden ring. A great golden ring, a great golden ring. Peacocks shall bow to you. Little boys sing, oh, and sweet girls will fasten you with May. Time, you old gypsy, away. Last week in Babylon, last night in Rome, morning, and in the crush under Paul's dome, under Paul's dial. You tighten your rein, only a moment, and off once again, off to some city. Now, blind in the womb, off to another, air that is in the tomb. Time, you old gypsy man, will you not stay? Put up your caravan just for a day. Hi, hi, hi. Rehan Dijar. JYK Celsius 50. Those who had said hi to each and every one of you guys. I appreciate you. How are you doing? Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. Ask and answer the questions. Do you enjoy natural beauty like flowers, trees, woods, hills, etc.? Have you ever been to a place where you enjoyed such beauty? If yes, briefly describe it. Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. Whose woods these are? I think I know. His house is in the village though. He will not see me stopping here. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near. Between the woods and a frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year, he gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. The purple jar. Where do you think the poet is going? Why is he going there? Why did the poet stop the woods, though it was dark and he was alone? Guess what promise the poet had to keep before he would sleep? Write an imaginary dialogue between the poet and his horse. The purple jar. Part 1. Story. Suppose your mother or father has given you some money to spend on anything you like in a fair. Going around the fair, you have shortlisted the following items: a beautiful decorative wooden horse, a colorful shirt or kameez of latest fashion, a box of delicious delicious chocolates for your family, a golden pen, a gift for your best friend. But you have money enough to buy only one thing. Write a paragraph about what you will buy and why. Read the story and answer the following questions. Rosamond, a little girl about 7 years old, was walking with her mother in the streets of London. Rosamond, a little girl about 7 years old, was walking with her mother in the streets of London. As she passed along, she looked in at the windows of several shops uh, and saw a great variety of things. She wanted to stop to look at them and buy them all, without knowing their uses or even without knowing their names. At first, they stopped at a millionaire's shop. The windows of the shop were decorated with ribbons, lace, festoons of artificial flowers. Oh, Mamma, what beautiful roses! Won't you buy some of them? No, my dear. Why? Because I don't want them. They're not real flowers. They went a little further and came to a jeweler's shop. In it were a great many pretty bright ornaments of little value set beautifully behind the glass. Mamma, will you buy some of these? Which of them, Rosamond? Which? I don't know which. Look at those earrings, that necklace, those mm, pendants. Any of them will do. They are so pretty. Yes, they are all pretty, but of what use would they be to me? But of what use would they be to me? Of what use would they be to me? I'm sure, Mama, you'd find some use if you only bought them first. But I'd rather find out the use first. Though a little disheartened, Rosamond kept on looking at the shops and tried to persuade her mother to buy this or that. Mama, buckles are very useful things. Please buy some. I have a pair of buckles. I don't need any now. So saying her mother, so saying her mother walked on. The Purple Jar, Part 2. This time Rosamond was really disappointed as her mother wanted nothing. However, they were passing by a chemist's shop. She saw some jars, blue, green, red, yellow, and purple, and she seemed to have a fascination for a purple jar. But her mother answered as before, of what use would they be to me, Rosamond? Of what use would they be to me, Rosamond? Of what use would they be to me, Rosamond? Of what use would they be to me, Rosamond? Oh, Mamma, I would use it for a flower pot. But you have a flower pot, and the jar you are dying for buying. It's not a flower pot. Yes, Mamma, I like it much. Then suddenly she cried, ouch, stone, Mamma. A stone has got in my shoe. It hurts. A stone has got in my shoes. তার জুতার ভিতরে একটা পাথর ঢুকে গেছে. Oh, how did it get there? See, there is a hole in my shoe. Mamma, আমার জুতা একটা কি আছে, ফাটল আছে, একটা ছিদ্র আছে, একটা হোল আছে, একটা গর্ত আছে, সেটার ভিতর দিয়ে পাথর ঢুকছে. How did it get there? এটা কিভাবে ঢুকছে? Mamma, in fact my shoes are quite worn out. ছিঁড়ে গেছে, পুরাতন হয়ে গেছে, নষ্ট হওয়ার পথে. Would you be so good as to buy me another pair? আরেক জোড়া কিনে দেওয়ার মতো কি আপনি একটু দয়ালু হবেন? But Rosamond, I haven't got money enough to. পেয়ে গেছি, কইয়া দিব, তুমি পরের গাছে ডিল মেরেছ, তুমি চুরি করেছ. Coming back to the point, Rosamond became sad again. Her mind flashed back to all those beautiful things she had seen that morning. But Mama, I like the purple jar very much, and now my foot hurts. Could you buy me only these two things? The jar and a pair of shoes, please. No, Rosamond, you can buy only one thing. However, you may buy the other thing next month, and you have to decide which one you would like to buy now. এখন কোন জিনিসটা কিনতে চাও সেটা তুমিই ডিসাইড করবে, তুমিই সিদ্ধান্ত নেবে, তুমিই চুজ করবে, তুমিই পছন্দ করবে। I need the shoes badly, Rosamund began to argue with herself. সে নিজেকে বলতেছে আমার জুতাটা খুব দরকার, বাট মাই হার্ট ইজ ইন দ্যাট বিউটিফুল জার। ওই সুন্দর জারের মধ্যে আমার হার্টটা পড়ে গেছে। Then looking at her shoes, she told her mother, these shoes are not so bad, except for the hole in one. ওই জুতা জোড়ার মধ্যে একটাতে শুধু একটা গর্ত আছে, বাকিটা ঠিক আছে। আমি এটা দিয়ে এই মাসটা অন্তত চালিয়ে যাব, তুমি আমাকে পার জারটা কিনে দাও। আই থিঙ্ক আই ক্যান মেক দেম লাস্ট। ওয়াও, বিউটিফুল সেন্টেন্স। আমি এগুলো চালিয়ে নিয়ে যেতে পারবো, মেক দেম লাস্ট till the end of the month, can't I? আমি পারবো এগুলো এই মাস পর্যন্ত চালিয়ে নিতে, পারবো না? ডোন্ট ইউ থিঙ্ক সো মামা? তুমি কি তা মনে করো না? আমি চাই তুমি তাই মনে করো। আই ওয়ান্ট ইউ টু থিঙ্ক অফ ইউর সেলফ ডিয়ার, তুমি তোমার চিন্তা করো। ওকে, ইফ ইউ প্লিজ, যদি তুমি সন্তুষ্ট হও। নাইস, প্লিজ ক্যান বি used or functioned, or can function as verb. Please, I'd like to have the purple jar. Very well, you will have it. ঠিক আছে, তাহলে তুমি তাই পাবে, তুমি পার্পল জারেই পাবে। কি তার মধ্যে টাহা ডালতেছি আমি, মোবাইল কি গরম হয়ে যাচ্ছে, বাট আমার অনেক পড়া বাকি কোনো। Rosamond and her mother were going back to the chemist's shop. As they were walking, Rosamond had to stop once again to take another stone out of the broken shoe, and she often lived with the pain. Now I'm reading Purple Jar Part 3. When they got back to the shop, Rosamond's mother asked her to carefully examine the jar before she bought it. But Rosamond was so excited that she bought it even without looking at what was inside the jar. Happily, she came back home with her mother. Then Rosamond quickly brought some flowers from the garden and was going to put them into the jar. But as soon as she took the top off, she saw something dark inside, which gave off an unpleasant smell. What is it, Mama? I don't want this black thing and that terrible smell. Nor did I, my dear. But what shall I do with it? That I can't tell. Okay, Mama, I must pour it out and fill the jar with fresh water. Then she made the jar empty. But to her great disappointment, she found that it was no longer a purple jar. It was a plain white glass jar with its colored water gone. The jar did no longer look beautiful. Rosamond cried with tears of disappointment in her eyes. She also cried for her folly. Every day her shoes grew worse and worse, and she could neither run, dance, jump, nor go shopping with her mother. Thus Rosamond suffered for a whole month and learned a lesson the hard way. She hoped that she would be wiser in future. Why did Rosamond examine the jar before buying it? What did she take the jar? What did she take the jar for? What did she take the jar for? How did she come to know the purple jar was in fact a plain white glass jar? Describe her sufferings and disappointments of her buying the purple jar. A found a flash. How did Rosamond try to persuade her mother to buy all the pretty things she saw in the shops? Read all the 3 parts of the story again and answer these questions. How did her mother try to stop Rosamond from buying all the things she wanted to buy? Write two paragraphs, one about someone and the other about her mother. Use words and phrases from the box below which are prepared for each character. You can also use your own words and phrases. A 7-year-old girl use disappointed. Purple words. Lesson. Suffering's artificial. Ornaments. Treaty liking. um, Worn out. Persuaded. Beautiful. Beautiful roses. Disheartened. Disappointed. Enough. Badly. Examine. Unpleasant. Smell. Unpleasant smell. Stupidity. Emotional. Practical. Decide. Limit. A pound of flesh. A pound of flesh. Look at the picture and ask and answer the questions. What do you see? What do you see? What are the three persons doing? What are the three persons doing? What are the clothes are they wearing? Are you familiar with such clothes? Who wears such clothes? Mention which clothes of our country are close to the ones the men are wearing in the picture. Once upon a time in Venice, Italy, there was a very rich merchant named Antonio. Once upon a time in Venice, Italy, there was a very rich merchant named Antonio. He had many ships that sailed in the sea. His ships carried different types of merchandise to other countries. He sold those goods there. He bought spices and other valuables from foreign countries and sold them in Venice. Antonio was a good and kind man. He always helped the poor. The people of Venice loved him very much for his honesty and kindness. Anthony had a close friend named Bashani. He was a handsome young man and was born in a noble family. Bashani liked to live a very luxurious life. He loved grandeur and style. He spent more money than he earned. As a result, he was very often short of money. In such situations, Bashani would go to his best friend Antonio for help. Antonio would help him with cash. It's happened that Bashani fell in love with a wealthy lady named Portia. Portia was known not only for her beauty but also for her wisdom. She was soft towards Bassanio too. He wanted to visit Portia in a grand manner but he did not have any money, so he went to Antonio. Bassanio said, "Dear friend Antonio, I'm in great need of some money. I would like to visit Portia at Belmont, grandly dressed and with many servants, but I don't have any money right now. Please help me to fulfill my intention." Antonio said, "This is not a problem, my friend. How much do you need?" 3,000 ducats or 3,000 Venetian currency will do. 3,000 ducats will do. Yes. 3,000 money will do in our country context. I don't have that much money with me now as all my ships have gone out in the sea with merchandise. But don't worry, my friend. I will arrange 3,000 ducats for you. I will manage your 3,000 ducats. So he decided to borrow the sum from a moneylender named Shylock. Moneylender named Shylock. Shylock was a very crooked man. Antonio and Shylock hated each other. Shylock was a land Shylock used to lend money with high interest. He would even send the debtor to prison if the latter failed to pay his debt. On the contrary, Anthony used to lend money to help those who needed it and would not charge any interest. Shylock agreed to lend him money, but on one condition. If he failed to repay the money in 3 months' time, he would pay a penalty. Shylock would cut a pound of flesh from any part of Antonio's body. Antonio willingly agreed, thinking that his ships would soon return with all the rich merchandise and would easily return the money to Shylock by selling them. Shylock made Antonio sign a bond before giving him the money. Antonio took the money and gave it to the Bashanian. Shylock made Antonio sign a bond before giving him the money. Shylock made uh, Antonio sign a bond before giving him the money. The three caskets. Achha. Bashani was very rich man. No. Bashani and Antonio were friends. Antonio went to Shylock to borrow some money. And Shylock heavily gave money to him. No. Antonio needed the money to bring his merchandise. Shylock made Antonio sign a bond before giving him the money. Why was Bassanio short of money all the time? Why did he go to Antonio? Why did Antonio go to Shylock? Why did Shylock get a bond signed by Antonio? What was written in the bond? The three caskets. Bassanio went to Belmont to visit Portia, grandly dressed with many servants. Portia's father had died lately. Before his death, he had thought of an unusual plan to find a good husband for his daughter. He wanted a man to marry Portia for herself and not for her wealth. He had three caskets made, one of gold, one of silver, and one of lead. One of the caskets had Portia's portrait in it. One of the caskets had Portia's portrait in it. The suitor who would first choose the casket with the portrait would marry her. The first one to try was the Prince of Morocco. He thought that silver and lead are poor metals. It is the casket made of precious metal that can hold the precious picture. So he chose the gold casket. But all he found was a picture of a skull with a message that said, "All that glitters is not gold." The prince was very sad and went back home. Then came the Prince of Spain. He looked at the silver casket for a long time. On it was written, on it was written, "He who chooses me will get what he deserves." The prince has a very high opinion about himself. He thought that he deserved the best. He therefore chose the silver casket and opened it. Inside the casket, he found the picture of a blinking fool. He was very, very disappointed and offended. He immediately rode away. Then it was Bashani's turn. He looked at the caskets for a long time. He thought appearances are often misleading. Bad men appear good and they um, hide their inner ugliness under fine clothes. So he chose the plain looking lead casket on opening casket. On opening the casket, he found the portrait of Portia inside. Vashani and Portia got married. There was great joy at Belmont, and the newly married couple were spending their time happily. But soon their happiness turned into sorrow by a piece of news. A messenger came with a letter from Antonio. The letter said, "Dear friend Bassanio, All my sheets have been lost at sea. I can't pay the money I owe to Shiloh, so I have to pay the penalty. Dear friend, come and see me if possible. I'd like to see you once before I die. Vashania quickly left for Venice. Why did Portia's father make such a strange plan? Mm, right, what you know of the three caskets? Right, what you know of the three caskets? How many people attempted to choose the right casket? What was the result? Who succeeded to marry Portia? Why and how? Why or how? Um, why did the joyous mood at Belmont turn set? The trial. Read the text and answer the questions that follow. When Bassanio reached Venice, Antonio was already in the court of justice. They were waiting for the trial to begin. The duke entered the courtroom, took his seat, and the trial began. When the trial began, the duke requested Shylock to be merciful and not to claim his pound of flesh. Okay, but Shylock would not listen to him. The trial. When Bassanio reached Venice, Antony was already in the court of justice. They were waiting for the trial to begin. The duke entered the courtroom, took his seat, and the trial began. The duke requested Shylock to be merciful and not to claim his pound of flesh, but Shylock would not listen to him. Bassanio offered him twice the amount of money that Shylock lent uh, Antonio, but Shylock did not accept it. Did not accept it. He said, I claim my pound of flesh. The law is on my side. Antonio must pay the penalty written in the bond. The duke was extremely sorry that he could not do nothing to help Antonio. The law was on Shylock's side and the law must be abided. The duke feared that although the wisest lawyer in the Venice was coming to speak in defense of Antonio, he would not be able to save the merchant. Soon, a young clerk entered the courtroom with a letter from the lawyer. The lawyer was ill and would not be able to come to the court. He requested the duke to let his young friend Dr. Balthazar defend Antonio. The duke gave his permission and Dr. Balthazar entered the courtroom. He looked very young and the duke doubted if the wisdom of the young lawyer could save Antonio. This young lawyer was no other than Portia in disguise, and the young clerk was her friend, who was also in disguise. Portia begged Shylock to be merciful and told him how God bestows mercy to those who are merciful themselves. Mercy, Portia said, brings blessings to him who shows it and to him who receives it. All of us pray to God for mercy, but God will only have mercy on us if we have mercy on others. Shylock paid no heed to Portia. All he wanted was his pound of flesh. Portia asked, "Can't Antonio pay the debt?" Bashani cried, "Yes, he can pay it, and even more. Even I can pay 10 times the sum my friend borrowed from Shylock." "Won't you take the money, Shylock?" Portia asked. "No, I demand the lawful penalty. Give me my pound of flesh." "Let me see the bond, Shylock," said Portia. Shylock handed the bond to her. She read it with great attention and then said, "You are right, Shylock. The law is on your side. You can claim the flesh, but I would request you one more time to accept the sum Bassanio is offering you and let me tear up the bond." But Shylock would not give up his claim. Portia then turned towards Antonio and said, "Get ready, Antonio, for Shylock to cut his pound of flesh. The law gives it to him. The law gives it to him." Shylock was filled with joy on hearing what Portia said. He began to praise Portia in disguise for her wisdom and righteousness. He cried out, "O noble judge, O excellent young man, you are a second Daniel who has come to this earth." Portia asked Shylock to cut the pound of flesh she demanded. Delighted, Shylock walked towards Antonio with a knife in hand. He told Antonio to uncover his chest, but as he was about to cut Antonio's flesh, Portia stopped him. She cried out, "Wait a second, Shylock. Never forget, there is no mention of blood in the bond. Therefore, you can't shed a single drop of blood while you cut your pound of flesh, or else you pay the penalty. And the penalty is the state will take your property from you. You lose everything that you have now, Shylock." Shylock understood it was not possible for him to cut a pound of flesh without shedding blood. He was defeated by the wise lawyer. He hung his head and without another word left the courtroom. Thus Antonio's life was saved. Roads, Unit 11. We have started the unit. You will be able to participate in conversations, debate, exchange personal information, narrate incidents and events in a logical sequence, present own ideas, and give and ask for information, write answer, write letters to newspapers, a lodge complaint, or present information in a chart. My roads. How do you feel looking at the photo? People rush to their roots on different occasions. Read the following text. It is the main religious festival of the Muslims in Bangladesh. It means happiness. Everyone wants to share this happiness with near and dear ones. So most of the people who are living outside their homes for different reasons have a strong desire to get back home during the Eid vacation. As a result, there is a mad rush to board buses, trains, uh, launches for going home. This often causes transport accidents that take away many lives. However, this cannot stop people from going home to meet their family, in laws, or friends. What makes people rush for their homes in spite of serious hazards? This is not what makes people rush in their homes in spite of serious hazards. This is nothing but people's desire to return to the roots. Do human beings have roots like the trees? The answer is yes. But unlike the roots of the trees, they are invisible. Do human beings have roots like the trees? This is nothing but the people's desire to return to the roots. Do human beings have roots like the trees? The answer is yes, but unlike the roots of the trees, they are invisible and they lie in our minds. It's these roots that make a bond between us and family members, in laws, friends, neighbors, or even between us and the land where we were born and grew up. In that sense, our families, our land of birth, relatives, our culture, traditions, and surroundings are our roots. And wherever we stay, we feel the power of our roots. It's our roots that develop our identity, making us what we are. When we lose that bond, we become rootless. Oh my goodness. It's our roots that develop our identity, making us what we are. When we lose that bond, we become rootless. Human beings who do not have any roots are a non entity. In other words, they do not have an identity. They don't know where they are from and or where they are heading to. This often makes them feel empty and lost. Read the text in the speech bubbles, make questions based on the bubbles, and then compare them in pairs. It is the main religious festival of the Muslims in Bangladesh. It means happiness. In that sense, our families, our land of birth, relatives, our culture, traditions, and surroundings are our roots. It is our roots that develop our identity, making us what we are. Lesson 2, My Roots 2. Read the following remarks and find out who is like you. I simply just can't bear the people who don't have any respect for their roots. We have a moderately big house in a town, but we frequently go to our village home as well. I always feel so at home when I visit my village and stay with my near ones. I live in a small apartment with my mom, dad, and my little sister. Most of my relatives live in a village. I seldom go over there as I don't like village life. Some people are so eager to leave their own homes, friends, and everything behind only to be part of the city life. They are not for me. To be frank, I don't get used to visiting my relatives in my village. To be frank, I don't get used to visiting my relatives in the village. Yeah, I live in a city, but I never forget my parents are from a tiny but beautiful village. I live in a city, but I never forget my parents are from a tiny, beautiful village. I know I have my roots there, and I am so proud of that. I just can't stand the people who have grown up in the village but forget it once. They are they are out from there. Very good. মোবাইল গরম হচ্ছে না, এটা দেখে খুব ভালো লাগছে. Moinul Islam is a qualified farmer in Nauga. Mr. Islam is very brilliant as a student. Was a very brilliant as a student. He took his higher education from Bangladesh Agricultural University in Moimonshing. He then came back home and started advanced farming. He has two other brothers who are graduates in different disciplines. The specialty of the Islam family is that they all are living in their village and they are renowned in their own fields. Mr. Islam's younger brother, who is a Rajshahi University graduate, is a science teacher in a local school. His youngest brother is a social science graduate who likes to start a local NGO to work for this area. When asked what makes you decide to stay What makes you decide to stay here in this village? Mr. Islam smiled and said, "Look, it's true that we could leave this village for city life. I could be banker or my brother could be bureaucrats, but it did not attract us. We are sons of this soil. Yes, we have education, but does education prefer a person only to be an officer? Does education prefer a person only to be an officer? Yes, we have education, but does education prefer a person only to be a banker, an officer? Don't we have any obligation to this soil that has made us what we are? Don't we have any obligation? We have obligation. Don't we have any obligation to the soil that has made us what we are? He also added that he also added that not every educated individual should be a job seeker. He added that since his discipline was agriculture, after his education he took the occupation of a farmer. In response to a question whether they had any frustration living in a village, he confirmed that they were indeed very pleased with their life. He said, "I work in my own farm, stay with my family members, pass time with my old friends, and sleep at my own home. All this count a lot. All this means a lot. All this mean a lot." Mr. Islam is right. Many people go to cities and forget or loosen their roots knowingly or unknowingly. Mr. Islam and his brothers are great. They haven't forgotten their roots. They not only stuck to their own roots, they have been torch bearers for others to be respectful of their roots. The Returns of the Native. Michael Madhusudan Datta was a celebrated 19th century Bengali poet and dramatist. He was born in Sagordari on the bank of the Kapotakko River, a village in Keshapur Upazila under Joshua district. From an early age, Michael aspired to be an Englishman in form and manner. Though he was born in a sophisticated Hindu family, he converted to Christianity as a young man, much to the ire of his family, and adopted the first name Michael. In his childhood, he was recognized by his teachers as a precious child with a gift of literary talent. His early exposure to English education and European literature at home and his college inspired him to imitate the English in taste, manners, and intellect. Since his adolescence, he started believing that he was born on the wrong side of the planet, and that his society was unable to appreciate his talent. He also believed that the West would be more receptive to his creative genius. Madhusudan was an ardent follower of the famous English poet Lord Byron, so after adopting Christianity, he went to Europe and started composing poems and plays in English. They showed his higher level of intellectual ability. However, he failed to gain the right appreciation, and to his utter frustration, he found that he was not esteemed as a native writer of English literature. Out of his frustration, he composed a sonnet in Bangla, Kapotakkonath, which earned him huge reputation in Bangla. Gradually, he could realize that his true identity lay in Bengal, and he was a sojourner in Europe. Afterwards, he regretted his fascination for England and the West. He came back to Bengal and devoted himself to Bangla literature from this period. He has written the first Bangla epic, Mekhnat Bodhakabbo. He has written the first Bangla epic, Mekhnat Bodhakabbo, In Search of Identity. Okay, lesson 4 and unit 11. Unit 11, lesson 4, In Search of Identity. Avajan's problem page. You aren't alone, dear Avajan. Often I'm so sorry to see the city's footpaths occupied by floating people. They are living in some makeshift shacks. I simply can't think how father, father, grandmother, and kids all live in such a tiny place within the few square yards in their possession. They sleep, socialize, cook, and even beautify themselves. These people are living in such an inhuman condition. This cannot be the picture of life in a civilized society. This can't be a picture of life in a civilized society. Also, they are polluting the area. They are least bothered about their health and hygiene. Out of curiosity, I talked to some of these people. They have their own homes and identity in their own village. They are here thinking their life in the city will be better and better. What an irony. Can't the society or the state do anything for these people? However, I must admit that I'm amazed to see how they sometimes tidy up their place, especially in the evening. Uh, Home, sweet home after all. Mithun. Dear Mithun, I understand your concern. The movement of people from the rural areas to the urban areas is a big social problem in many countries like ours. These floating people are definitely a burden to the cities where they migrate. When the number is huge, it is difficult for any state to rehabilitate them quickly. See from the other side, the people you have referred to have lost their roots and they are unable to assimilate in the new culture. Maybe many of them are attracted by the charm of the cities, but I'm sure it was a need to many others. People became rootless sometimes due to climate change, river erosion, social discrepancies, or poverty. However, you cannot solve this problem overnight, but you can certainly take steps to improve their lifestyle. Why don't you form a committee with your young people in your locality that will teach them basic health and hygiene? It may help them to minimize pollution. Give it a try. Yes, Avarjan. Loneliness, Unit 13. To know new words and extend our vocabulary, read a text and understand overall meaning, infer meanings from the context, answer and give opinions on a given topic. Loneliness, causes, effect, and prevention. MashaAllah. What is lonely? Look at the picture on the previous page and guess what the person might be feeling. Make a list of those emotions and describe them bravely. Let's read the following excerpt and answer the questions. What is loneliness? Causes, effects, and prevention by Lindsay Modglin. Loneliness. Loneliness is a universal emotion that most of us experience at least once during our lifetime. Although, loneliness is a universal emotion that most of us experience at least once during our lifetime. Although certain events such as loneliness or a pandemic can make it feel more pervasive. If you are currently experiencing feelings of loneliness, you are not alone. In fact, a 2022 study by Chigna found that 61% of Americans reported being lonely in 2000. In 2000, from 54 to 4 in 2008. Oh, I'm so lonely, broken angel. No matter what events are occurring around you, understanding loneliness. No matter what events are occurring around you, understanding loneliness and its risks is important for recognizing when you may need support. Read on to learn what loneliness is, its causes, long term risk, and ways to cope with the emotions that may come up when you are lonely. What is loneliness? The American Psychological Association, APA, defines loneliness as the affective and cognitive discomfort or uneasiness from being or perceiving oneself to be alone or the otherwise solitary. In other words, loneliness is mental and or emotional discomfort you may experience from either being alone or feeling as although you are alone. This feeling stems from your social needs not being met and oblique or an inability to get the social connection you desire. Loneliness versus being alone. Although loneliness and being alone are commonly confused, being alone doesn't necessarily mean someone is lonely. Loneliness is a feeling, while being alone is a situation or a state of being which is not inherently negative. Says Nina Veshan, MD, psychiatrist and professor at Stanford University School of Medicine and chief medical officer at RIAN, an online mental wellness membership site. You can feel lonely even when you are surrounded by other people, such as a partner, family, co-workers, or friends. Yes, you can feel lonely, surrounded by other people. It's also possible to be alone but not feel lonely, she adds. It's also possible to be alone but not feel lonely, she adds. For example, if you are by yourself but connecting to others through good communication or activities like volunteering, you don't feel lonely. What causes loneliness? There are various demographic facts that may describe loneliness, although Dr. Bashar notes that anyone can feel lonely at any time in their life. A few groups that stand out as having an increased risk of loneliness include young adults, mothers with young children, and the elderly. Immigrants are also at higher risk of loneliness. Immigrants are also at high risk of loneliness, continues Dr. Boshan. You may experience loneliness for a variety of reasons, but it can often stem from a major life change. A 2022 study by the University of Edinburgh suggests that the causes of loneliness differ depending on the age of the individual. For example, older adults experience loneliness more frequently as a result of living alone, while middle-aged individuals aren't as likely to report living alone as a cause of their loneliness. This discrepancy between what causes loneliness in older adults versus those who are middle-aged could be due to the fact that older adults have retired and no longer have the community and daily interactions of work life, explains Nikki Press, uh, psychology, the clinical psychologist in New York City. Older individuals are more likely to have most friends and family members, and they are more likely to experience medical or physical limitations that restrict their opportunities for activities and socializing. Continues Dr. Press. Other common causes of loneliness include the death of a close friend or family member, physical isolation such as living alone or moving away from family and friends, illness or disability, retirement, working alone. How to cope with the prevent how to cope with and prevent loneliness. Just as the cause of loneliness can vary from person to person, coping and prevention strategies can also differ. In general, the goal is to make strong, healthy connections that fulfill your need for social interaction. While there is no substitute for help from a mental health professional, the following tips may help you build emotional connections. Find hobbies you enjoy. Taking part in activities you enjoy can be a great way to meet others with similar interests. Find hobbies you enjoy. Taking part in activities you enjoy can be a great way to meet others with similar interests. Consider a book club, art class, fitness group, or any other activity where you can interact with others who enjoy the same things. Volunteer for an organization you support. Volunteering will not only give you a sense of accomplishment and pride, but it's an opportunity to meet others who support the same organization. Join support groups. Support groups are an excellent way to connect with others who have something in common with, such as a mental or physical condition. Routinely contacting family and friends, attempting to stay connected, even if only by phone or video chat, can help nurture your emotional health and help prevent loneliness. Maintain a healthy diet and regular exercise regime. Living a healthy lifestyle promotes overall wellness and reduces your risk of chronic medical condition which could interfere with your social life. Regardless of your interest, it is important to listen to and fulfill your desire for social connection. This can help diminish feelings of loneliness and isolation and could help improve the overall quality of your life. What difference is there between being lonely and being alone? What feelings a person may have when he or she is lonely? What factors influence older adults' loneliness? Can you name some of the common causes of loneliness? How can a person cope with loneliness and improve their quality of life? Have you ever felt lonely and sad in your life? What was the reason for your loneliness and how did you overcome the situation? A poem, Solitude by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read the following poem titled Solitude by Ella Wheeler Wilcox and answer the questions that follow. Laugh and the world laughs with you. Weep and you weep alone. For the sad old earth must borrow its mirth, but has trouble enough of its own. Sing and the hills will answer. Sing, it's lost on the air. The echoes bound to a joyful sound, but shrink from voicing care. Rejoice, and man will seek you. Grieve, and they turn and go. They want full measure of all your pleasure, but they do not need your own. Be glad, and your friends are many. Be sad, and you lose them all. There are none to decline your nectar wine, but alone you must drink life's gall. Feast and your halls are crowded fast, and the world goes by. Succeed and give, and it helps you live, but no man can help you die. There is a room in the house of pleasure for a large and lordly train, but one by one we must all file on through the narrow aisles of pain. The Story of an Hour by Kate Chopin. মোবাইলে গরম হচ্ছে না, এটা খুবই সুখবর। বুঝতে পারছেন গাইস, আমি একটু দেরি পর্যন্ত লাইভে থাকতে পারবো আর কি। তো মোবাইলের লাগছে না, বেশি ভার সহ্য করতে হচ্ছে না। এজ আই হ্যাভ switched the camera off. Yes. The Story of an Hour. Knowing that Mrs. Smollett was afflicted with a heart trouble, great care was taken to break to her as gently as possible the news of her husband's death. It was her sister Josephine who told her in broken sentences, veiled hints that revealed in half concealing her husband's friend Richard was there too, near her. It was she who had been in the newspaper office when intelligence of the railroad disaster was received. When intelligence of the railroad disaster was received, with Brandley Mallett's name leading the list of kill, he had only taken the time to assure himself of its truth by a second telegram, and had hastened to forestall any less careful, less tender friend in bearing the sad message. She did not hear the story as many women have heard the same, with a paralyzed inability to accept its significance. She wept at once with sudden wild abandonment in her sister's arms. When the storm of grief had spent itself, she went away to her room alone. She would have no one follow her. There stood facing the open window a comfortable, roomy armchair. Into these she sank, pressed down by a physical exhaustion that haunted her body and seemed to reach into her soul. She could see in the open square before her house the tops of trees that were all aquiver with the new spring life. The delicious breath of rain was in the air. In the street below, a peddler was crying his wares. The notes of a distant song which someone was singing reached her faintly, and countless sparrows were twittering in the eaves. There were patches of blue sky showing here and there through the clouds that had met and piled one above the other in the west facing her window. And she sat with her head thrown back up on the cushion of the chair, quite motionless except when a sob came up into her throat and shook her as a child who has cried itself to sleep countless to sob in its dreams. She was young, with a fair, calm face whose lines bespoke repression and even a certain strength. But now there was a dull stare in her eyes, whose gaze was fixed away off yonder on one of those patches of blue sky. It was not a glance of reflection, but rather indicated a suspension of intelligent thought. There was something coming to her, and she was waiting for it fearfully. What was it? She did not know it was subtle and elusive to name, but she felt it creeping out of the sky, reaching toward her through the sounds, the scents, the color that filled the air. Now her boss rose and fell tumultuously. She was beginning to recognize this thing that was approaching to possess her, and she was striving to beat it back with her will, as powerless as her two white slender hands would have been. When she abandoned herself a little, whispered what escaped her slightly parted lips, she said it over and over under her breath. Free, free, free. The vacant stare and the look of terror that had followed it went from her eyes. They stayed keen and bright. Her pulses beat fast, and the coursing blood warmed and relaxed every inch of her body. She did not stop to ask if it were or were not a monstrous joy that held her. A clear and exalted perception enabled her to dismiss the suggestion as trivial. She knew that she would uh, weep again when she saw the kind, tender hands folded in, and and the face and that had never looked save with love upon her, fixed and grey and dead, but she saw beyond that bitter moment a long procession of years to come that would belong to her absolutely, and she opened and spread her arms out to them in welcome. Uh, there would be no one to live for during those coming years. She would live for herself, be no one to live for, no one to live for during those coming years. And she would live for herself. There would be no powerful will bending her in that blind persistence with which men and women believe that they have a right to impose a private will upon a fellow creature. A kind intention or a cruel intention made the act seem no less a crime as she looked upon it in that brief moment of illumination. And yet she had loved him sometimes, often she had not. What did it matter? What could love the unsolved mystery could for in face of this possession of self-assertion which she suddenly recognized as the strongest impulse of her being. Free in body and soul free, she kept whispering. Josephine was kneeling before the closed door with her lips to the keyhole, imploring that permission. Louis, open the door. I beg, open the door. You will make yourself ill. What are you doing? Please, for heaven's sake, open the door. Go away. I'm not making myself ill. No. She was drinking in a very elixir of life, and through that open window, her fancy was running right along those days ahead of her. Spring days and summer days and all sorts of days that would be her own. Breathed, she breathed a quick prayer that life might be long. It was only yesterday she had thought with a shudder mm, that life might be long. Uh, she arose at length and opened the door to her sister's importunities. There was a feverish triumph in her eyes, and she carried herself unwittingly like a goddess of victory. She clasped her sister's voice together. They descended the stairs. Stood waiting for them at the bottom. Someone was opening the front door with a latchkey. It was Brandley Mallard who entered a little trouble-stained, mostly carrying his grief-stricken umbrella. He had been far from the scene of accident and did not even know where had been one. No, there had been one, He stood amazed at Josephine's piercing cry, and Richard's quick motion to screen him from the view of his wife. But Richard was too late. When the doctors came, they said she had died of heart disease, a joy that kills renewable energy. After you have started this unit, we will be able to describe familiar objects, participate in conversation discussions, read intensively and extensively, write formal letters. Now, we read the text and answer them. Renewable Energy Sources Part 1. In a speech at the 19th Science Congress, internationally acknowledged scientist and former Indian President Mr. APJ Abdul Kalam mentioned a very important aspects of this mankind's future energy crisis. He pointed out that the era of wood and biomass has almost come to an end. The age of oil and natural gas would soon be over. Within the next few decades, massive burning of world's coal reserves may lead to a worldwide ecological disaster because coal burning emits the highest amount of carbon in the atmosphere. So according to Kalam, the only solution that mankind can look to is the massive use of solar energy in future because it has some advantages over other forms of renewable energies. Will soon overview within the next few decades. Okay, he pointed out that the era of wood and biomass has almost come to an end. The age of oil and natural gas would soon be over. Within the next few decades, massive burning of world's coal reserves may lead to a worldwide ecological disaster because coal burning emits the highest amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Now, why has Kalam put so much importance to the issue of energy? The energy sources have always been a major factor of change throughout history. The world's petroleum consumption has increased from 3 billion barrels annually in 1930 to 37 billion barrels annually today. In the next quarter century, the world's population is expected to about 8 billion, which is 30% higher than today. Developing countries will grow their economies about 2 times faster than industrialized countries. Global economic growth is expected to continue at 3% per year. Consequently, the global demand for energy will grow at about 1.7% per year on an average. It indicates a 50% rise of energy consumption by 2030. The world's daily petroleum consumption is 100 million barrels now. It will rise to 150 million barrels by that time. The present reserve of hydrocarbon energy sources is limited and it will not be sufficient to meet the future energy challenges of the world. Hence, leading industrial countries have taken initiatives to use alternative energy sources, mainly known as green or renewable energy sources. The bottom line of Kalam's speech indicates the concern of mankind in the 21st century. What is the scientist Kalam concerned about? Why do you think the massive burning of coal may lead to an ecological disaster? What do you mean by the potential danger of nuclear energy? What, according to Mr. Kalam, is the solution of future energy crisis? Why does Mr. Kalam put so much importance on the issue of energy? Why does Mr. Kalam put much importance on solar energy? In Shohan's village, some people headed by Mr. Shadul Islam came from an organization to hold a meeting at the local Union Parishad office. Their objective was to introduce alternative power solar systems in households. Read the dialogue between the UP chairman and Mr. Islam. What's the alternative power supply system? Well, it's solar. We are going to use solar power units in rural areas. What is it? Is it something new? Not exactly. It's already familiar in many parts of the world. We have introduced it in our country too. But yes, in this locality, it's something new. I see. Why do you call it alternative power supply system? Because solar power is a substitute for conventional electricity. It's actually a renewable energy source. Our solar units can be installed on open rooftops or at any open place where sunlight is available. Sounds good. How much electricity can they give? Can they run my irrigation pipe? I am afraid, Mr. Chairman, they can't. Our solar panels are small and are designed for domestic purposes only. They can produce enough electricity to run say 2 or 3 tube lights, to a fence, TV set, and the like. The larger units can run. Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Ashad. I have to go to the bus stand now to receive a friend. Anyway, several villages in our union are still without electricity. I hope people will welcome your alternative power supply system. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Goodbye. Goodbye, Mr. Islam. See you again. Renewable energy. Lesson 2. Renewable energy sources. Part 2. Look at the following pictures and discuss with your partner what you see in them. How are the two pictures related to each other? Read the text and answer the following questions. Countries of the world rely heavily on petroleum, coal, and natural gas for their energy sources. There are two major types of energy sources: renewable and non-renewable. Hydrocarbon or fossil fuels are non-renewable sources of energy. Reliance on them poses a real big problem. First, fossil fuels such as oil, coal, gas, etc. are finite energy sources, and the world eventually will run out of them. Secondly, they will become too expensive in the coming decades and too damaging for the environment. Thirdly, fossil fuels have direct polluting impacts on Earth's environment, causing global warming. In contrast, renewable energy sources such as wind and solar energy are constantly and naturally replenished and never run out. Most renewable energy comes either directly or indirectly from the sun. Sunlight or solar energy can be used for heating and lighting homes, for generating electricity, and for other commercial industrial uses. The sun's heat drives the wind, and this wind energy can be captured with wind turbines to produce electricity. Then the wind and the sun's heat cause water to evaporate when and the water vapor turns into rain or snow and flows downhill into rivers or streams. Its energy can be captured as hydroelectric energy. Along with the rain and snow, sunlight causes plants to grow. Plants produce biomass, which again can be turned into fuels such as firewood, alcohol, etc., that are called bioenergy. Scientists have identified hydrogen as another form of renewable energy source. It is the most abundant element in nature, but it does not exist separately as gas. It is always combined with other elements such as with oxygen to make water. Hydrogen separated from another element can be burned as a fuel to produce electricity. On Earth's interior contains molten lava, which gives off extreme geothermal energy to produce electricity for heating homes, etc. Ocean energy comes from several sources. Oceans, force of tide and wave can be used to produce electric energy. The surface of the ocean gets more heat from the sun than the ocean depth, and this temperature difference can be used as energy source too. What do you mean by renewable energy sources? What are the problems with non-renewable energy sources? What are the major differences between renewable and non-renewable energy sources? What's the name of the project? Where in the GST is the project located? When did it start operation? How much electricity is being produced from here for the national grid? How many units are working here? What is the positive impact of the project on our national development? Read the dialogue between Raja, a student of class 10, and his uncle Mr. Borua, who works at Shango Gas Field, and answer the following questions. What are you reading, Raju? English, uncle. A chapter on renewable energy sources. I see. Do you know renewable energy is also called green energy? Green energy? No, uncle, I don't know. Nothing is there about green energy in the text time. Are you sure? Anyway, renewable energy sources provide us with energy which doesn't harm environment during its production or consumption. Say solar energy. You see, there is no burning, no smoke, no emission of gases. It's a sort of clean technology and clean energy source. Oh, exactly. That's what our teachers said. I remember. On the other hand, burning fossil fuels, say oil or coal, emits greenhouse gases that harm the environment. Oh, I see. Yes, I've got the clue. I've got the clue. I have got the clue. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. I now understand the relation between the two pictures in section A. Green energy sources make a green glow. Why is renewable energy called green energy? Nothing is there about green energy in the text either. Do you think this statement of Radha is correct? Explain why yes, no. Why yes or no? I now understand the relation between the two pictures in the section A. What does Radha mean here? What does he really understand? Do you agree with Radha's view here? What's solar energy? It's one of the renewable energy sources. Why is it called green energy? Well, it's green energy because it helps us keep the earth green. I mean, it does not emit any pollutants in the atmosphere when we produce or use it. I see. Then it must be a clean source of energy. Exactly. That's why we. That's why it's also called green energy. Unit 15. Media and modes of e-communication. Learning outcomes. After you have studied this unit, we will be able to surf the internet. We will be able to read and write emails, narrate incidents in a logical sequence, understand texts, read intensely and extensively, participate in debates. Media and modes of e-communication. Look at the pictures and say what you see in them. Facebook, email, website, blog, e-commerce, Twitter, e-learning, iPod, tablet, PC, information, superhighway, social network, smartphone. Let's imagine a citizen's ordinary day at work. The morning probably starts with a cup of coffee or tea, followed by greeting the colleagues. Then comes the inevitable, which is log in the computer. For many of us, the third step has become an automatic behavior and it dominates the rest of our workday. Receiving and sending dozens of emails. An email is an electronic mail. It is a computer-aided way of exchanging digital text messages from a sender to one or multiple recipients. Email operate through a network of computers linked by the internet. There are commercial server agencies such as Yahoo, Gmail, Email, Hotmail, etc. that accept the text messages from the sender, forwarded it and delivered instantly, is stored and delivered later when the recipient is online. It works instantly just with the click of your mouse. It has been a powerful communication tool in modern life. What is an email? What is an email? How do email operate? How do emails operate? How do email operate? How do emails operate? How do emails operate? How do the commercial service serve in the process of an email? It's been a powerful communication tool in modern life. Explain the statement. How do emails affect our daily work schedule? Motoshi Alex thanks for your mail. I'll fly from Ottawa on 7:36 hours local time on 13th July with Qatar Airlines via London Doha and land Dhaka on 15th July around 13:51 hours local time. Wish to stay 2 days in Cox's Bazar and 1 day in Khulna. Return flight on 21st July at 3:04 hours local time. Keep in touch and stay fine. Hope to see you soon. Alexa. Davani. Social network services. Unit 14, Unit 15, Lesson 2. Social network services. Look at the following logos. Are you familiar with them? Discuss with your partner what they are and how they are related to the field of e-communication. Facebook and X or Instagram. No, not Instagram. Twitter. Read the text and answer the following questions. The internet technology has helped design a large number of websites to facilitate social relations among people around the world. These are known as social networking services or social networks or social media. At present, Facebook is the most popular social media site. LinkedIn, X, formerly Twitter, and Google Plus, etc., are other frequently used social services. Social network services are web-based and hence provide ways for the users to interact through the internet. These services make it possible to connect people across the borders and thus have made the users feel they really live in a global village. Why are social networks expanding so fast? The answer is simple. Most of the social services are cost free. You can make use of them free, paying a very little to your internet service provider. Secondly, you can make your personal profile public before the entire online community. It's like presenting yourself um, before the entire world. You can also look into the other people's profile if you are interested. You can also look into other people's profile if you are interested. It is simple and easy. Thirdly, social networks allows users to upload pictures, multimedia contents and modify the profile. Some services like Facebook allow users Facebook allows users to update their profiles. Fourthly, networks. Oh, some services like Facebook. Oh, yes, some services allow users to update their profile. Some services like Facebook allow users to update their profiles. Fourthly, networks allow users to post blog entries. User profiles have a section dedicated to comments from friends and other users. Finally, there are privacy protection measures too. User himself or herself decides over the number of visitors or viewers and what information should be shared with others. What do you understand by social networks? What are some uses of social networks? The services have made the users feel that they really live in a global world. Do you agree with this view? Make a list of the arguments as to why social networks are expanding so fast. Why do you think this is happening? Can you think of a classroom where... Okay, lesson 3, e-learning. Look at the following picture. What objects do you see in the picture? How are they related? Discuss with your partner and say what these are. Work in pairs. Discuss the following questions. Have you ever experienced any digital education programs in multimedia or CD or VDV? CD or DVD? Have you ever used any digitalized educational resources such as Oxford Dictionary, Banglapedia or Wikipedia? Have you ever heard of any online education course? Have you ever seen a classroom teaching program on TV? Can you read the text and answer the following questions? Can you think of classroom where there is no blackboard or desks? Do you believe that you can be a student without a printed book or a writing pad or even pen and pencil? Are you not thrilled to imagine that you have asked a question and your tutor is answering it while flying in a Boeing from Dubai to Dhaka? These are all possible in a virtual campus in the system of learning. No kidding. For quite a long time, educationists have been utilizing the advantages of computer technology. The social networking services have a huge potential to help educationists in this sector. They have access to millions of people worldwide. Educationists have noticed Educationists have noticed that large number of social network users come from young generation who especially belong to student communities. So side by side with computer assisted teaching, learning software, online education programs are evolving fairly rapidly to assist conventional education system. Is that e-learning? We may confuse distant education or computer based learning or computer assisted training or even online education programs with e learning. But we should be cautious about the mix up. What happens in an online education program? Maybe you get some materials online from your tutor. Maybe you submit your assignment through email, or even you may take your test online. But there must be some conventional campus, a department institute from where your certificate will come. But in e-learning, as said by global e-learning guru Dr. Badrul Iskan, every step every step such as registration, admission, classroom, entry and exit, classwork, attendance, discussion with course mates, feedback, exams, and finally certification must take place electronically through computer and internet technology in a virtual campus. Everything is digitalized and conducted by a system called learning management system. So online education programs blend various components of e-learning. The revolutionary concept of e-learning is already in its practice phase in many parts of the world. Professor Khan has developed a framework and important literatures on e-learning which have been praised by pundits worldwide. He is especially enthusiastic about the prospect of e-learning in Bangladesh. Would you, how would you feel if Bangladesh contemplates establishing South Asia's first virtual university? Mm, wouldn't it be a pioneering step for us in the world of e-learning? Let's keep our fingers crossed. Okay. Dr. Badrul Is Khan was born in Bangladesh and graduated in the United States. Dr. Badrul Is Khan was a professor at uh, George Washington University and the University of Texas, USA. He is one of the celebrated theorists in the field of e-learning. Now we have come to the last unit of the English for today, classes 9 and 10 book, and it is named Graffiti, Unit 16, Graffiti. Unit 16, Graffiti. Mar betak, mar lukene. Why did you kill my son? Graffiti on a Dhaka metro rail pillar near Mirpur 10 Circle. Learning outcomes. After you have studied this unit, we will be able to describe the function of graffiti during people's movements in Bangladesh, recognize graffiti as a form of art, redefine our responsibilities as citizens. Disturbing the comfortable and comforting the disturbed. Art should comfort the disturbed and disturbed the comfortable. Writes the pseudonymous street artist Banksy. Sentiment that encapsulates the spirit of graffiti's defiance. On 17th July 2024, Abu Said, an unarmed organizer of the students' movement for quota reform at Begum Roki University in Rangpur, was shot and killed by police as he stood with his arms stretched out, leaving his mother, Monwara Begum, shell-shocked and crying, "My son only wanted a job. If you don't want to give him a job, then don't. But why did you kill him?" Since the 1960s, graffiti in Bangladesh has served as a powerful voice for resistance. In 1966, student activists spray-painted slogans like "Down with Ayub Khan" on walls, using graffiti as a covert means of protest against a repressive regime. When military forces approached, they shouted "Chica, Chica," a word meaning mole or muscarat, pretending they were killing rodents to disguise their actions. This guerrilla tactic marked the beginning of graffiti as a tool of dissent in Bangladesh, and it played a crucial role in the liberation war in 1971. Nur Hussain with the words down with autocracy. Nur Hussain with the words "down with autocracy." স্বৈরাচার নিপাত যাক। However, the Bangla spelling for nipat is nipat, দীর্ঘইকার না হয়ে হ্রস্বইকার হবে. The misspelling underscoring raw spontaneity of such expressions, boldly painted in bright white on his bare chest, was photographed by Dinu Alam on 10th November 1987 during a pro-democracy protest in Dhaka. Shortly after, he was shot and killed by Bangladesh police. Notorious police. Police are involved in all kinds of atrocities. গণতন্ত্র মুক্তি পাক, স্বৈরাচার নিপাত যাক. Wall art featuring Nur Hussain's iconic photograph displayed on Dhaka wall. In recent times, graffiti has resurfaced as a powerful repression of dissent, particularly during the July uprising. Spray-painted messages like "The country is nobody's father's," invoked the legacy of past movements, echoing the iconic "Ganatantra Mukti Pak," "Let democracy be free." famously written on the body of Protestant Hussein during the Irshad regime. Each stroke of paint carried forward a history of defiance that has shaped Bangladesh's political landscape, drawing connections between past and present struggles for justice. স্বৈরাচার নিপাত গণতন্ত্র মুক্তি পাক recent 2024 July uprising moment collection or collection of moments. Graffiti's potency lies in its subversive guerrilla nature. Unlike wall art, which is typically organized and sanctioned, graffiti thrives on immediacy, spontaneity, and the risk of persecution. Where wall art may take time and care, graffiti is often quick, recurring speed and anonymity due to the threat of detection. Its purpose is to challenge power, counter surveillance, and inscribe messages that are otherwise censored or suppressed. The July uprising brought new dimensions to this medium. These spray painted slogans defied eraser, embodying collective rage and revolutionary solidarity. Demands like এক দফা এক দাবি স্বৈরাচার তুই কবে যাবি surfaced as cries for justice, echoing the French philosopher Jacques Derrida's assertion that what can't be said must not be silenced but written. What can't be said must not be silenced but written. A strong sense of inclusivity was also reflected in the wall art and graffiti during and after the July uprising, which highlighted the case of the marginalized and minoritized people in multiple instances. Numerous graffiti and wall art pieces not only called for justice but also carried a broader message of liberation. Not a land of one nation, Bangladesh is a land of many communities. এক জাতির দেশ নয়, বহু জাতির বাংলাদেশ. Symbolizing the interconnected struggles of all communities, it underscored the message. For example, our collective liberation is intertwined. In other words, yes, with the fight for justice, uniting people across regions and backgrounds. The true power of graffiti lies in its resilience. It persists as a medium for revolutionary memory and collective consequences. It speaks for those silenced. It ensures the struggles of the marginalized endure, and as Banksy's words suggest, comforts the disturbed while disturbing the comfortable. This is the end of the English for today, class 9 and 10, 2025 academic year, class 9 and 10. English for today, a beauty is truth. Truth, beauty. A thing of beauty is joy forever. Thank you very much and hope to see you. Reading from HSC, okay, classes 11 and 12 book. Okay, উচ্চ মাধ্যমিক ইংরেজি প্রথম পত্রের রিডিংয়ে স্বাগত জানিয়ে আজকের মতো এখানেই শেষ করছি।